Okay, gentlemen, so this is class number 9 on Masakhet Makkot. And we are on Daf Bet Amud Bet. We're on the bottom of the page. Just to get you re-plugged in, we're dealing with the subject of Eidim Zomemim. Eidim Zomemim, they are witnesses that come to court. They testify regarding a defendant, that he committed a crime, that he owes money to someone, whatever the testimony is, and it ends up that they were lying, and we already discussed what it is, how we found out they were lying. So what does the pasuk say again? What does the pasuk say about Eidim Zomemim? Va'asitem lo kasher zanam lasot la'achiv. The general rule is that you do to the Eidim what they wanted to do to the defendant. That's the premise of this class. That's the premise of this entire discussion. That you do to the Eidim. They wanted the Eidim to get. The defendant to get killed. They accuse him of a crime. That there's capital punishment for it. What do we do to the Eidim? We kill them, and so on and so forth. We were studying a beraita. The beraita we were studying brought 4 cases where we don't do to the Eidim what they wanted to do to the defendant, and we're now in case number 4. So let's read case number 4. Case number 4 deals with an Ayved Ivri. So we're going to now read it, and I will explain it. Okay, so it's Daf Bet Amud Bet. If you go, let me find it myself, and I'll tell you where it is in the page. All right. Yeah. The ending Karim Be'ed Ivri. I'm going to count from the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 lines from the bottom. 3 words from the left side of the page. Okay? The en nimkarin be'eved ivri. That's the 4th case where we do not do to the Eidim what they wanted to do to the defendant. What was the case? It says en nimkarin be'eved ivri. We do not sell them into slavery. There's Eved Ivri means a Jewish slave. Why would we sell somebody into slavery? The answer is the Torah stipulates that if somebody robs money from his friend and he cannot pay back the money, the rule is he must pay back the money. So we sell him into slavery. That is called the Eved Ivri. Okay. So the 2 Edim, they come, they say, this guy is an Eved Ivri, or this guy robbed money and didn't pay it back. We're going to deal with that issue here. By the way, I'm intentionally being vague. I will deal with the issue. But in the meantime, I'm telling you that they said something, they testified in court, the Edim, that somehow this defendant should be sold as an Eved Ivri, should be sold into slavery or as a slave. In that case, and then what happens, it ends up the witnesses were lying, right? You say, oh, okay, they wanted him to be an Eved Ivri. What do we do to the witnesses? They become Eved Ivri. Sell them into slavery. You don't do that. And Nimkarim Eved Ivri. Okay, that's what we're examining now. The question that the Sugya is going to deal with is as follows. What exactly is the situation? What did these witnesses testify about? How can it be that somehow the witnesses would have to be sold into slavery, supposedly, presumptively? Why is that? Why is that? So that now we're going to read it. Savar Rav Hamnuna lememar. Rav Hamnuna, one of the Emoraim, who is examining this beraita, he comes up with the following supposition. It's a reasonable supposition, and it is as follows. He wants to understand what exactly was the situation. And here is the situation. He's going to explain it. When do we say that we do not sell the Eidim into slavery? It's a situation where the Eidim came and said the defendant is a robber. He robbed $100. He must pay $200 because you pay twice, right? He robbed $100. He must pay $200. Now, if he doesn't pay the $200 or he doesn't pay back the money that he robbed, what do we do to him? We sell him into slavery. So Rav Hamnuna is saying, you know why we don't sell the Eidim Zomemim into slavery? Because we're dealing with a situation where the defendant actually had the money to pay. And since the defendant had the money to pay, he would not have been sold into slavery because he had the money, right? So he's paying. You only get sold into slavery if you can't pay. So that's the situation. Because since he would not have been sold into slavery, even if the Edim Zomemim would have come and said he robbed, and we would never have found out that the Edim Zomemim are lying. We would have accepted their testimony. The guy has money. He'll pay. He's not going to be sold into slavery. So the same way he wouldn't be sold into slavery. We don't sell the Edim Zomemim into slavery. That's the way Rav Hanuna understands this baraita, the clause in the baraita. But if it's a situation where he does, where the defendant doesn't have the money to pay back, meaning he's accused of robbing $100, he has to pay $200. He doesn't have a penny in the bank account. He has zero money. So what would we do to him? Then we would sell him into slave. So
only the first 100, right? That he goes to slavery.
I'm sorry.
He only goes to slavery if he can't pay the principal, the first 100.
Correct, and that's why I brought the example that he has zero money in the bank.
Right. Okay.
Right. Exactly.
If he had 100, he wouldn't go to slavery.
You are correct. You are only sold into slavery if you can't pay the amount you rob. If you just can't pay the penalty, because we said there's a 100% penalty, then you won't be sold into slavery. Correct. That is correct. But so again, but if the situation is one where the Edim Zomemim come into court and they say this defendant robbed $100, and the defendant doesn't have a penny in the bank. Had we accepted the testimony of the witnesses, what would he have done to the defendant? We would have sold him to slavery because he didn't have a penny in the bank. In that case, we would take the Edim Zomemim and sell them as slaves. We would do it. That's the way Rav Amnuna wants to understand the situation. Okay? So he's saying it's true that the Baraita says we don't sell them into slavery, but when we said we don't sell them into slavery only because it's dealing with a situation where the defendant himself would not have been sold into slavery. But if it would have been a situation where the defendant didn't have the money to pay and therefore he would have been sold into slavery, we would sell the Edim Zomemim into slavery. That's his thesis. Just one moment. I'll get to you in a moment. Okay, yes. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So we're dealing with a case where the accused doesn't have the money, but the accusers have the money. Right, correct. Yes, correct. We are dealing with a case, we are saying, I'll repeat it one more time. If the accused has the money, obviously, there's no reason to sell the accusers into slavery because the accused would not have been sold into slavery. So why are we selling the accusers into slavery? But the second case that was brought is, but what if the accused I call him the defendant, you call him the accused, that's fine. What if the accused doesn't have the money and he would have been sold into slavery? Rav Amnuna says in that case we would sell the accusers. Even though they have the money.
Right, even though they have the money. Correct. Even though they have the money, but we don't look at them, we look at the accused. And the accused would have been sold into slavery, so we sell them into slavery, even though they have the money.
Why aren't we putting them into the same exact position where they must pay the 200, if they don't, they go to slavery, if they do, they don't.
So that's an extra Now look at
this question is whether you apply the final outcome of the result or you apply the initial law and you
right,
see
initial law, then right, he had to choose between the right.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שהכל אין ברא. Okay, so now, and you'll see, this is an ongoing discussion in the yeshiva.
Same like the kofar, have the same issue, right? With the kofar, if he can't pay, then he pays it, or he gets to mitat b'shemaim, then he's paying the kofar. So how far do you go in sending their punishment? Is it the initial or the final punishment?
Right, exactly. Now here, so just keep in mind, this is a discussion going on in the yeshiva. Rav Amnuna is proposing this interpretation. He's saying, this is the Beraita said that we don't sell Eved Ivri into slavery is only in the situation where the accused would not have been sold into slavery. But if the accused would have been sold into slavery, then we would sell the Edim into slavery. That's his initial starting position. Let's continue. So then, now there's some pushback. There's pushback in the yeshiva. So there's a discussion going on. So they tell Rav Amnuna, they say, excuse me. The witnesses would be able to say as follows.
in the situation where the accused doesn't have the money, but the witnesses do have the money, why should we sell them into slavery? What did Amnuna say? We should sell them into slavery. The witnesses. Why? The witnesses can say the following. They can make the following argument. If you would have had the money, would you have been sold into slavery? No, because you pay. Well, if we have the money, we shouldn't be sold into slavery. Because if you're saying that when the accused doesn't have the money, but the accusers do have the money, that we're going to sell the accusers into slavery, it doesn't make any sense. You're putting them in a worse position than the accused, because had the accused had the money, you wouldn't have sold them into slavery. So why are you saying that when the accusers have the money, we sell them into slavery? That doesn't make any sense. You're not doing to the accusers what you wanted to do to the accused. You're actually putting him in a worse situation. You're punishing him worse, right? Because he has the money. He says, excuse me, I want to pay. Why are you selling me to slavery? Don't sell me. Here's the money. I'll give you the money. Right? So it doesn't make sense what you're saying. Ella means, okay, let me reconsider my position. Rather, let me refine my position. Ella. Savar Rav Amnuna lememar, halemile, hechadeit le, oledide, oledidhu. So Rav Amnuna's position is now going to be refined. We reject the previous approach. We're now giving a new approach. And the new approach is as follows. If it's a situation where either the accuser or the accused have money, right? Then we don't sell the accusers into slavery. Because if the accused has money, we wouldn't have sold him into slavery, so why should we sell the accuser into slavery? If the accuser has money and the accused doesn't have money, then the accusers will tell the accused, why are you selling me into slavery? If you had the money, you wouldn't be sold in. Well, we have the money, so we shouldn't be sold into slavery. So therefore, the only situation where it could be is as follows. But if neither the accuser nor the accused have money, that's a case where you would sell the accusers into slavery. That's the case. And now I'm going to repeat it. I'm going to repeat it so you all can understand it and see it clearly like I do.
What?
Okay.
When we say Ela, is that Rav Amnuna himself changing his
No,
opinion, or is
it's
that reinterpretation?
right. It is, that's a very good question. It seems to be that was part of the discussion in the Gemara trying to understand Rav Amnuna's position, because Rav Amnuna wasn't there, because they're saying Sarva Rav Amnuna lemema, so apparently he wasn't there, otherwise they say Amar Rav Amnuna. So apparently there was Talmidim were expressing his opinion, and now we're refining the opinion of Rav Amnuna. So let me just summarize this. Okay, so the Beraita says that the Eidim Zomemim, the accusers, will never be sold or are not sold as Eved Ivri, are not sold into slavery. So the question is, why are they not sold into slavery? So what Rav Amnuna is saying as follows. He's saying, it would seem to be that the reason they're not sold into slavery is for the technical reason that either they have the money or the accused has the money. And if the accused has the money, well, we can't sell him into slavery because he wouldn't have been sold into slavery. If the accusers have the money, we can't sell them into slavery because, well, they have the money. So why sell them into slavery? So the only situation where you would sell the accuser into slavery, the only is if neither the accused nor the accuser have the money. That's the case that the Rav Amnuna wants to carve out. So he's saying, yes, well, the Beraita says that we don't sell them into Eved Ivri. That's generally speaking. But here I found the case where you would sell them into Eved Ivri. What's the case where you would sell them into Eved Ivri? If neither the accuser nor the accused have the money. Okay, that's clear now? Okay. We're going to look at this oh yes, sir.
Do you mind if I make a request?
What is your request?
In the earlier classes you read the Sugya, like just read it through before explaining and then explained it through.
Right.
It helped because my Aramic's not so great, so I knew kind of the general
So we
flow.
actually have another line to go with this Sugya. It's finished.
Okay.
That's the whole sugya. Okay.
And
All right.
just-
Yes. Go ahead.
for each Emora, if we could just get a quick profile on the background.
Sure. So now we're finishing it. So maybe in the next one.
Yeah, just go.
Okay.
on. Yeah.
Okay. So Amal le Rava. So Rava is now going to address the aforementioned. What did Rav Amuna want to say? Rav Amuna wanted to say that there is a case where you do sell Eved Ivri into slavery. What is that case? Where the accusers, I misspoke. There is a case where you do sell Edim Zomim into slavery. What is that case? Where they accuse somebody of, robbing and owing money, and the guy doesn't have the money to pay. Had the court accepted the testimony, and the witnesses don't have the money to pay, and therefore they go into slavery, because that's a situation where you do unto them what they wanted to do unto the defendant. Okay. Rava disagrees. Amar le Rava v'nimkar bignevato. The pasuk says you sell the robber into slavery. Look what the pasuk says. V'nimkar, you sell him, bignevato. He committed a crime. What's the crime he committed? Geneva. And this person doesn't have the money to pay back what he robbed. So the robbery is in his possession. And because the robbery is in his possession, it's a crime. And that crime next needs to be cured. It's a stain, it's a blemish. So you sell him. What's the purpose of the selling of the person? To remove the blemish of the robbery. Now normally, how do you remove the blemish of the robbery? You pay. But he can't. He doesn't have the money. I don't know, maybe old. I was once in Israel. There was a guy who had a gambling debt. So he swindled one of my clients. He pretended to be like a real estate broker for some big company. He was really good, by the way. He was like really good. He pretended like he worked for this big company, and everybody believed him. All the lawyers believed him. And then my client got swindled by like, $1 million, and the money was gone. He had a gambling debt. So that person has a geneva. The geneva is in his possession. What do you do to a person who has a geneva and can't pay him back? So the Torah says, here's a medicine. Sell him as a slave. But the Edim Zomemim, they don't have a robbery in their possession. They never robbed. They did another crime, a terrible crime. Not saying that what they did is a terrible crime. Terrible. They were abusing the justice system for their own perverted interests. But that's not minim kad bignevato. So Rava's point is, you never sell an Ed Zomem, you never sell these accusers as slaves, because once again, I'm using the same phrase that I used in my previous cases. It is a great medicine for the wrong sickness. Okay? It's a great medicine if the sickness is that you're a robber who robbed and didn't pay back the robbery. It's not a medicine for a person who testifies falsely in court. You understand? So the point of Rabbi is, no. You do not sell the Edim Zomemim, these accusers, these false witnesses. You do not ever, under any circumstance, sell them into slavery, because that's not what the law of selling into slavery is about. That law is only for actual robbers. Yes, sir.
Who's collecting the payment? So you have false witnesses, or
Right. So what happens is, normally, if a person is let's say robbed.
Or he's sold, right? So basically,
Yeah. So exactly. So they give them money. So let's say they just as an example. Let's say the guy robbed $1,000. Now he owes $2,000. He can't pay it back. So they sell him. They take the proceeds of the sale. Let's say it was worth $2,000.
That's understandable.
Oh.
But in the case of false witnesses, so you don't have the actual robber.
Right. Exactly.
But you have the sum of money. So basically, if they're able to pay whether they can.
Oh, right.
If you sell them slavery, then the person that buys them as slaves.
Exactly.
So what happens to the money? Who collects the money?
Right. No. So what's going to happen now is the sale will be undone, because they were not. You're saying what if they actually sold them into slavery? Is that what you're saying?
Not necessarily, even if they're not, but if they're able to pay, they're false witnesses, they're convicted, they're able to pay the sum of money.
Right.
So
Who does the
so who collects
right.
paid?
Right. So first of all, okay. So the theory would have been, that's a great question. In other words, in the case of the people accused of the person accused of robbing, he would have had to pay the money to who?
The victim.
To the victim, right? Now, there is no victim, right? There is no victim to the crime, right? So the point is, he doesn't have, there is nothing to pay. It's a theoretical debate. The question is not whether he pays, because there is nobody to pay. Well, it's a great question. It's a very sharp question. I agree with the question. The point is, let's look at the actual case. You have these two witnesses. You have this defendant. Defendant is accused of robbing $1,000, for example, and suddenly we find out that these two witnesses were a bunch of liars, because another two witnesses come and say, these two witnesses were with us at the time of the supposed or the alleged crime, which obviously never took place. There was no crime. Okay, so the judge says, you two phonies, you're false witnesses. What do we do with these false witnesses? Well, they don't have to pay anything. They don't have to pay because there is no victim to the crime. The crime never took place, right? So now the question becomes, well, okay, so let's sell them into slavery. Well, no, we don't sell them to slavery because we have this special pasuk that says "V'nim kabing nevatov." So what do we do to them? We give them malkut. Malkut is the punishment. There is no monetary punishment because there's no victim. There's no monetary, this, and there's no kabing nevatov because that's the wrong punishment for these people. They need they get malkut. You see? So anytime we have an ed zomem that's supposed to, was not going to get the regular punishment, we're not going to do it. These 4 cases, in each one of these 4 cases, they get malkut. Great question, by the way, really good question.
But,
yes.
But in a normal case of mammon, they would pay the accused, wouldn't they?
Oh yeah,
Right.
right. Let's say let me just give a simpler case. Let's just do it. Yeah, even though it's not in the Gemara, it's a simpler case. These 2 witnesses come. They say this defendant owes $1,000 to Shimon, and it ends up that they were lying. He doesn't owe $1,000 to Shimon. Now, in this case, they have to pay $1,000 to the victim of their crime, namely to the defendant. They accuse the defendant of owing $1,000. He didn't owe $1,000, so now they have to pay $1,000 to the defendant. That's maybe that also gives you a broader understanding of the subject. Yes? Yes?
In Rav Hamnan's second case, where he clears it up, there's inconsistency. If you're saying that when the accused doesn't have the money, if they deem due, they don't go to slavery because if he had the option, they should have the option. Right? But now if he has the money and they don't, it should be the same thing that he had the option, they should still have the option and be sold into slavery if they don't have the money. Even though he didn't get sold, he had that choice of
you can argue it both ways. Nevertheless, they reach the conclusion that in Rav Hamnun's opinion, the only way this can work is if neither of them have the money. The logic being, if the accused has the money, he wouldn't have been sold. If the accused has the money, he wouldn't have been sold. That's the lot. Now you can reason it another way, admittedly so. I'm not saying that you can't argue the other way, but that's the way Rav Hamnun viewed it. Now it happens to be that the Rava disagrees, and the Rava's position is downstairs. Yeah. Rav Hamnun's position was otherwise. Rava's position disagrees with Rav Hamnun. Now this is what I want to do for you. I want to read for you. Okay, first, right. So first, I'm sorry?
We accept
okay, so great question. I'm going to read to Rambam. Let me read to you what Rambam says in, okay, no, I'll do it a little different. Here's what I'm going to do. So first of all, before we even get to that, so we had these 4 cases in the Beraita. The 4th one was what we just did. We just finished the Sugya. And Haramban with a nun, that's a Bimoshe Bar Nachman, Maimonides, and the Rishba, they both have a question. They both ask the following question. How many cases does the Beraita bring? 4. The Beraita brings 4 cases. Okay. Now, from those 4 cases, the Mishnah brings how many cases? 2, right? So there's 2 cases brought in the Mishnah that are also brought in the Beraita. Look at the Baraita again. Arba devarim ne'emu be'edim zomemim. En ne'esim ben gerusha ben halusa. That's in the Mishnah. En golin la miklat. That case is also in the Mishnah. En mishalmim et hakofer. Not in the Mishnah. En imkanim be'avid ivri. That's what we just studied tonight. Not in the Mishnah. The Ramban and the Rishba ask the following question. Why is it that the Mishnah doesn't bring all four cases? Why does it only bring two cases? So this is interesting. Their conclusion is that there was a machloket between the Tanu Rabbanan, which brings these four cases, and the Mishnah, which only brings two cases. Meaning, according to the Mishnah, in the two cases, that's case number one, and that's case number two. In those two cases, we don't do to the accusers what they want to do to the accused. But in the last two cases, namely the accusation being with the kofir, and one second, and mishamim with the kofir. Right, we studied that last week with the shor mu'ad sheharag et nefesh. Okay, and then the case we studied today, enim karim be'ed v'divri. In those cases, the Mishnah's position would be to disagree, and the Mishnah would say osim lahem kasher zamu mulasot machloket. That's what they say. That's why Harambam and the Rishba explain it. Harambam does not explain it that bad. I'm going to read you what Harambam says, and Harambam takes the Baraita seriously. Harambam makes Pesach that in each of these four cases, we do not do to the accusers what they wanted to do to the accused. Meaning, according to Harambam, there is no machloket between the Mishnah and the Baraita. The Baraita and the Mishnah are aligned. But of course, the question comes back to Harambam. Well, so why didn't the Mishnah bring all four cases? Why did it just bring two cases? We'll deal with that. But first I want to read to you the language of Harambam. I'm reading Harambam in Perek Kaf Halacha Het. Okay. Elim Sheher'idu al Echad. Witnesses come and they accuse a defendant. V'hirshi'uhu resha, and they got him to be convicted of a crime or some evil. She'en bo lo malkut, but the crime that he's convicted of, the crime that the defendant is convicted of, doesn't have malkut. There's no lashing. It's not a crime for which the punishment is lashing. V'lo mitah, and the crime that they're accusing the defendant of is not one where there's capital punishment. V'lo chiyuv mamon, and there's not even monetary damages. They don't have to pay money. This is not a crime where they would have to pay money. And then it ends up that the accusers, it ends up that they're liars. Right? Huzamu, through the process of hazama, which we already discussed. Hare elu lokim. In that case, here's a general principle. Look at what Harambam does. Harambam took these four cases and he distilled from these four cases a legal principle that works not just for the four cases, but for any other case that conforms with this distilled rule. And again, the distilled rule is the accusation is one that doesn't include capital punishment, doesn't include malkut, doesn't include financial compensation. Even if it's not one of these four cases, we do not do to the witnesses what they would have done to the accused. So, Harambam actually takes it even more dramatic. It's not only that he makes Pesach like the Baraita, that the four cases, we don't do to the Edim what they want to do to the accused. Harambam says any case that's like this. It can be 10 cases, it could be 20 cases. By the Tosefta brings many more cases. The Tosefta brings a case where the Edim Zomemim, they accuse the defendant of being a Natin, of being a Mamzer. That's many more cases than the Mishnah. It's not just four cases. So Harambam is very precise. Okay, let's continue.
So what crime has no makuta, no mita, no nothing?
For example, they come and they say, this person, his shor, his ox gored somebody and killed somebody, right? And what do you call it? And the rule is that when a person's ox or an animal kills somebody, the person is Chai Mitabi Deshaman. He has to be killed by Hashem. The Beit Din doesn't kill him. So that's lo mita, right? Now there's kofir there. There's kofir, but the kofir is instead of mita. So that's a case where there's no mita, and we say that the edim zomemim, they get malkut. That's an example, or another example. They come and they say that he's a kohen. It's a person who's a kohen. They come to court and they say, you know what? His mother was a divorcee. That's no malkut there. It's just we're saying he's not going to give birkat kohanim. He's not going to go up aliyat kohen. He's not going to eat ma'asrot in the days of the Bet Mikdash. Hu lo oved agabei mizbeach. There's no malkut. There's no mamon. There's no mitah, right?
Yeah, because he didn't do anything.
Right. Correct. So what do we do to the Eidim? Are we going to say, let's make them Ben Yerusha Ben Chalusa? Let's say the Eidim themselves were Kohanim. So you would say, oh, well, they wanted to turn that Kohen into a Ben Yerusha Ben Chalusa. Let's turn them into a Ben Yerusha Ben Chalusa. No, we don't do it. What do? We give them Malkut. You see? So there's different situations where the accusation could be of something, where you say the guy is a mamzer. The guy is a mamzer, he's not allowed to marry Asul Lavo Bakahal. Mamzer, Asul Lavo Bakahal. So let's make him a mamzer. No, we don't do that. You see, that's the point, rather we give him malkut. Anyway, gives the examples. Kesar. He's going to bring here the 4 examples in the Berakat. For example, they come and they say this Kohen is actually the child, his mother was a divorcee. And since his mother was a divorcee, he doesn't have the law of a Kohen. He actually has a terrible status of a halal. Okay. Kiron, she'aidu, we were there on the day that his mother got divorced. There was Amun. Then 2 witnesses come and say, excuse me, excuse us, you couldn't, 2 new witnesses come and say, excuse us, you couldn't have seen it because you were with that. She was divorced on July 1st, 1996. July 1st, 1996, they were on a cruise in the Bahamas we saw you on the cruise with us. So you couldn't have been, you couldn't have seen that. What do we do to the Edim Zomemim? Malkut. You give him Malkut. Bechen. This is case number 2 in the Beraita. They come to court, the 2 witnesses, they say this defendant is guilty of negligent homicide. What do we do to somebody guilty of negligent homicide? We send him to a sanctuary city. It ends up they were lying. We do not send the false witnesses to a sanctuary city. Again, it's the wrong medicine for the wrong crime, right? It's a good medicine, just not for that crime. What do we do to them? We give them malkut. We don't send them to a sanctuary city. That was case number 2. Case number 3. They made a testimony that his ox, the ox of the defendant, killed somebody. And as if they were lying. In this case, again, we don't make them pay the money. Why don't we make them pay the money? You should say, wait, this is a case where they are paying money. They're accusing him of paying. The accusation here is to pay money. Because if your ox kills somebody, it's money. So the Edim Zomim should pay money. It doesn't follow the rule. No, it does follow the rule. Because the real punishment is mitabi de shamayim. The purpose of the money is to remove the mitabi de shamayim. It's a kofer. It's not an indemnification. It's not a financial indemnification. It's a kofer. It's an expiation for sin. So they don't pay that money. They don't pay that money. You give kofer. It's like you're saying, you again, wrong medicine. Okay. And finally, the case we did tonight, they accused the guy that he was sold as an Ayved Ivri, vehuzamu lokim. We give him malkut, we don't sell them into Eved Ivri. And remember the first 2 sugot we studied? Where did we learn these things? Kabbalah, Harambam, Arba Devarim Elu Mipia Kabbalah. Harambam is beautiful. Wow, beautiful. Okay.
2 questions?
Wait, hold on. And I'll get to it. Here's the point. So how does Harambam explain the fact that the Mishnah only brings 2 cases and not the 4 cases. Harambam himself makes Pesach like the 4 cases. You understand my question? So first of all, Harambam's thinking is very clear. If there was a contradiction between the Mishnah and the Baraita, the Gemara would have said so. The Gemara at no place suggests or implies that the Baraita contradicts the Mishnah. It would have said some, it would have been tema, some sort of question, but it never says it that way. So Harambam interprets the sugya completely differently. Why would the Mishnah not bring the 4 cases? And the answer is as follows. When the Rabbeinu HaKadosh edited the Mishnah, he had a huge amount of information. Huge. The Torah Shebe'al Peh, the Mishnah that we have now, it's like these books like from here to here, right? Huge. It was 100, 1,000-fold more information. What Rabbeinu HaKadosh did is he created a condensed version of the Torah Shebe'al Peh. So he started out with a room full of books and he condensed it to these 6 sedarim. Why did he do that? He did it because back then there was no printing presses. People didn't write books. The Torah Shebe'al Peh also, and this is more important than no printing presses, I should actually reverse the order. People studied the Torah Shebe'al Peh by heart. And Rabbeinu HaKadosh understood that if I want people to study this by heart, my number one goal in writing the Mishnah is to condense it as much as possible. Because if I create a huge edition of the Mishnah, you're just not going to be able to study it by heart. Well, they physically now, how many people can study the whole Shasi to that Mishnah by heart? But back then they were trained, and not to make excuses for us. But even the Mishnah before us, who knows the whole Shasi to that Mishnah by heart? So he did it that way, so that the Mishnah can be studied by heart. So when he had this Beraita, and this Beraita is certainly a source for our Mishnah, he doesn't need to bring all the cases. He brought 2 cases to illustrate the principle, and that's it. Why didn't you bring 4 cases? Because he wanted to condense it, and 2 cases is enough to illustrate this principle. That's the thinking of Harambam. So you see the approach of Harambam is aligned with Rav Shari Gaon, because what I told you about the Mishnah being a condensed version of the Torah Shebe'al Peh comes from Igeret Shari Gaon, right? And that is so important to understanding the relationship between the Mishnayot, in this case condensed, and the Baraita, which was more elaborate. The Baraita brought 4 cases, the Mishnayot only brought 2 cases. You see that? So that's the first thing I wanted to say. I want to say a few more things, and I'm going to take your questions. Right. All right. So I'll take your questions out. Okay, I'll take your questions out. If you have any you had questions?
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
So the first is, so if the Mishnah wants to be condensed, why not just give the principle instead of giving these 2 examples?
No, because Mishnah, it doesn't do that. The Mishnah doesn't give principles. The Mishnah brings illustrations. That's the methodology of Rabbeinu HaKadosh, and the methodology of Rabbeinu HaKadosh is to follow the language of the Beraitot before him. He doesn't just create new language. Harambam, when he wrote the Mishnah Torah, he had a different methodology. Rabbeinu HaKadosh is going to follow the linguistic methods and style of the Beraitot. He's not going to create a new style, right? Because that's what they were familiar with. Next question.
Second one was, according to Rambam, this is Apiyat Kabbalah.
Yes.
How is that different than the Din Mufla? Or is that the same?
No. Din Mufla is not Apiyat Kabbalah. Din Mufla means the Bet Din sat down, looked at the pasuk, resolved the. I should give it, maybe next
Didn't we
class.
say this was Din Mufla?
No. I'm going to say, maybe the next class, I have to remember, I want to teach a little more about the. You know what? Next class I will give a little talk about Dini Mufla, maybe the first half of the class.
This is Din Mufla, but now according to Rambam.
Right. So next class, so put that on the side. Kabbalah is not Din Mufla. Din Mufla means a Bet Din of this generation, whatever the generation of the Gemara was. They looked at the issue, they looked at the pasuk, there was an ambiguity in the pasuk, they resolved the ambiguity. Kabbalah means you have Kabbalah. We don't need a Bet Din to sit down and resolve the issue. Completely not. Okay, that's important. Let me ask the following questions. Let me ask the following question. Listen to what Harambam says. Listen to the 4th case of Harambam. listen carefully. Tell me what's wrong, or what apparently seems wrong with what Rambam is saying. They come and they testify that it was sold as an Eved Ivri. And it ends up that they were lying. They get Makkot. Do you see something in Harambam that somehow doesn't jive fully with what Rav Hamnuna was saying?
He's avoiding the ambiguity of Rav Hamnuna's Svara, right? He's saying, oh, they testified that he stole and he couldn't pay back, so the question is, do they have the money? Does he have the money?
Right.
With the case that Harambam gives is clear cut. They're testifying he was sold in Beit Din as everybody, so there's no room for...
Right,
you know,
or to put it personally, you're correct. You're correct. And here's a point. Rav Hamnuna's approach is different than Harambam's approach. Rav Hamnuna's approach is not that he was already sold as an Eved Ivri. That's not the accusation. Rav Hamnuna's the accusation of the Edim, according to Rav Hamnuna, is that he committed the crime of robbery, for which it happens to be that, well, if you don't have money, you get sold as an Eved Ivri. Not that he was already sold as an Eved Ivri. What does Rambam say? Exactly. They're not coming saying he's a robber. I don't know, whatever the reason he was named Eved Ivri. Not interesting to us. We didn't see him rob, but we know for a fact we were in the slave market. The Bet Din was there. The Dayanim were there. They said, this guy is being sold. How are you going to buy it? $200? Yeah. He's a slave. Why can Rambam do that? How can Rambam do that? Because Rambam is following Shitat Rava.
And Rava, right, of course.
And now you understand the Shitat. When you read Rava, he's saying, oh, what is Rava saying? Is he disagreeing with Rav Hamnuna? Not disagreeing? He's disagreeing. Amale Rava, v'nimkar b'gnevato ketiv. Right? So the point of Rava is that we don't need to get into, well, they accused him of this, they was accused of robbing, wasn't accused of robbing, they did have the money, they don't have the money. No, the point is, Edim Zomimim cannot become Eved Ivri, period. Oh, what was the accusation? The accusation was very simple. They accused him of being an Eved Ivri, a runaway slave. We sold him, he was sold, and now we have to bring him back to the original court that sold him. We don't know who he was sold to or whatever. Let's rectify the matter. The guy is a slave. Deal with him. Okay? That's the end of the sugya. Okay, so now you see how Rambam, that's the beauty of studying Rambam, because you see how Rambam really, he sheds light on certain nuances in the sugya that otherwise you wouldn't understand precisely. It's about, whether he's studying Gemara, it's about precision. You have to be precise, and when you're precise, you get it. Okay. Question, yeah.
I have a few. I'll ask them what I think is the most important one first.
Yeah.
So when we say Savara Hamnuna Lemimar, this is what I'm taking out of it, but tell me if I'm wrong. Yeah. That if you had a case, for example, let's say it was Amara Hamnuna, it's implying that it's something he either, well, I would say that he received from his teacher. Yeah. Right. Whereas Savar is saying he sort of came up with it on his. He received from his teacher. He's not making a dirasha. He's not doing anything. He's not giving an official.
Right. He doesn't have masoret. Right. He doesn't have masoret. He doesn't have the tradition. He wasn't. Yes. So let me explain. And this question that you asked earlier, Albert. And then it says Ela Savara Hamnuna Leman. I think what happened here is there was an ongoing discussion in the yeshiva. How do we understand this beraita? So first, Rav Hamnuna takes one approach. Then Rav Hamnuna slightly refines his approach. It's all that Rav Hamnuna. I take back what I said earlier. About 30 minutes ago, I said something a little different. No, I think what's happening is Rav Hamnuna is there, and they're having this discussion, and it's a back and forth, and they're refining the position of Rav Hamnuna. He says, yes, you're right. It's this and not that. And then comes Rava. And the Rava totally, blows away the whole discussion. He says that we don't need this. Is very clear. The crime is geneva. He has the geneva, and that's what we sell him. Well, this Idomem doesn't have a geneva, so why would you sell him? Very clear. Okay, question?
So I just want to get to the answer. The underlying question is, if we have a case where Amar, such and such Amora, can we assume that we had something that he received from a teacher?
Maybe not. No, maybe it was his own lesson. Maybe it was his own lesson.
I mean, not necessarily that he received the halakha word for word from a teacher, but that what he's saying is based on what instruction that he received, as opposed to that he said, oh, I never heard anything that would indicate either way, but this is my svara.
Right.
Savar and Amar, that's a question different.
Right.
When you use Savar
So
and
let's do this. One more question, and then we'll. I think we can. Two more questions. Okay, then we can call it a night. Shoot a text to Rabbi. Maybe ask him if he came on. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Elliot, and then.
Okay. Can a law at one point be a din mufla, but much later end up being Kabbalah?
No, because the din mufla is associated with the pasuk.
Oh, as
Right,
Kabbalah
Shevat
is not necessarily.
Right,
I thought
so-
that's only
right.
halakha Moshe.
Well, no,
Doesn't
but the din mufla they usually bring it with as part of a pasuk, so they wouldn't bring it as Kabbalah. They would bring it Shneimah, or
And Kabbalah
whatever the derasha is. They
never
would bring,
has a pasuk.
meaning they would bring the derasha with the. So once you have the derasha, one of the young midot, you identify it as a derasha. I think that's different than a Kabbalah. Okay, next question, Joe.
Why were these two, the Mishnah referencing Dafka, those two cases, opposed to the other two?
Interesting. Yeah, why did it choose the case of Ben Gerusham and Chalusa? That has to do with status. That's a really clear-cut example, right? And then it brings a case of Galut, right? I think those cases are the most clear-cut. You know why they're the most clear-cut? Because look at the principle that Hanambam distilled from these, from the distilled rule was there's no a punishment, a bodily punishment. There's no capital punishment, and there's no monetary punishment. The last two cases are poorer illustrations of that rule, because in the case of the ox, there's kofa, which is money. So it's a little confusing. Meaning, you say, wait, it's money. It doesn't illustrate that rule. He has to pay money. Well, the answer is yeah, but that money is it's not a financial indemnification. It's a kapara. But you see how, so the Mishnah chooses two cases that are a bit more clear cut. Same thing when Mikam Big Nevato. Wait, hold on. What's happening? When he's accusing him of owing the guy $200, that's also money, right? He should pay the money unless he doesn't have the money and then he gets sold into slave. So the two cases chosen by the Beno Kadosh were the most crystal clear illustration of the principle. No money, no physical punishment, and no capital punishment. So those two cases are the ones that the Mishnah chose. So you see how he was very precise in bringing these two cases.
Could it be also because it's a good follow-up to Zohar Bet Kohen that we had in 73, right? The Ben Gerusham and Halusa is a good follow-up to that.
Oh, very nice.
And Hayat Galut or the Dot, and we had that. Also a good segue into the next Perek Elon.
Good, lovely, beautiful. Okay, so I think we're not going to start the next sugya.
Is there any structure here that we should be aware of?
There is, yes. I just, I think we'll end here, and maybe next sugya we will deal with some of those issues. Okay, we're good.
Talk about
Hazak.